with no disrespect to the lost lives in the pandemic. I've said this before and I'll say it again. As it pertains to the church in a pandemic, I believe it was God's way of putting a reset on the church that we may be able to reconsider and reimagine what it really means to be the church. But here's the problem, my brothers and sisters, that there are many people who open their doors and call themselves a part of the church, and they came back from the pandemic with the same mentality that they did when the pandemic did not happen. And so God gave us 2 years to consider the church's integrity, the church's intellect, and the church's impact. But I'm ashamed to say here on this Sunday morning that the Spirit is still asking, after I've given you 2 years and you come to these houses with fictitious worship, what kind of church is this? I believe that every pastor, every preacher, every member, every greeter, every musician, anybody who's a part of the church needs to sit down and reevaluate what the church is really about. Because we have become so enamored by smoke machines and light shows. We have become so enamored by stuff that does not save people that we come to church to submit to the performance and not submit to the paraclete. And the paraclete is the Holy Ghost. And God said you can have the fanciest of cameras. You can have the best of audio equipment. You can be preaching from an elevated stage, and you can even have folks flying all around the ceiling. But if you do not reimagine the church's impact, what you do is give fodder, and what you do is give material to those who say the church is irrelevant. Now let me say this. Just because you come to this church does not make this church relevant. And just because you lift your hands does not make you relevant. What makes you relevant is an intentionality to submit yourself unto God and let God do what God does best.